Arunima from Ames Global. You've seen me quite often lately, so I hope that you're not bored of me just yet. Because I come back with really special guests, so just to make it really exciting for you. Today, I am joined by our very lovely Laura Hill from the University of Waikato. Laura, first of all, thank you very much for coming at 8 o'clock and joining us. It is late. You are based in New Zealand, so I know it's not a different time zone. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And hi, everyone out there in the big wide world or New Zealand, wherever you may be.
Thank you. Now, guys, today we are going to be giving you the opportunity to ask your heart's questions from the University of Waikato. As you know, I'm a senior immigration advisor at Ames Global, and we are bringing Laura here to be able to address some of those questions. We understand that a lot of you may be adversely affected by COVID-19 in New Zealand, or you may be based overseas and you possibly looking at studying in New Zealand. So we want to try and bring to you the courses that the university offers that may be in line with the skill shortages, why they're popular, and so we will build up some questions here. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce Laura to you. So Laura is a very special person. She fills the room with a smile. I remember meeting her a few months ago at a presentation, and I think we speak quite regularly since then, just to touch base. And I must absolutely say, Laura, that no matter when I ring you, you will always speak to me. You'll never say, I'm really busy, I'll call you back, which is fantastic. And I know that that's what you do for your students as well. So I think on behalf of everybody, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I do try.
Absolutely. So Laura is one of the 4 regional managers for the university. She is the regional manager for Southeast Asia and New Zealand-based agents and advisors. She is part of the international recruitment and the business development team. And she's actually originally from Taranaki, and she's got a double degree in physical education and education from the University of Otago. She has studied internationally. She has lived and worked in the US, Canada, Scotland, and she's worked in the international education sector for about 13 years. And you returned to New Zealand last year in March to start working at the university. So there's Laura for you. Fantastic. Have I missed anything, Laura?
No, that's about me. I'm glad to be back here in Aotearoa, back home to my new home in the Waikato. So I'm based at our Hamilton campus. So we have 2 campuses, one in Tauranga and one in Hamilton, and I'm here based in the Waikato.
Fantastic. And just so I can tell people why we're doing this, we are one of the trusted partners for the University of Waikato, and we are also immigration advisors. So we can actually help people get into the right courses and also advise on immigration outcomes and immigration processes, which is why we've invited Laura to do this with us. So Laura, before I get into the theme of things and the questions, I just want to ask you, you've been with the university for a while, you've been in the international education industry for a long time. Tell us, why should a student choose the University of Waikato? Why the university?
Yeah, of course. And that was in fact the question I asked when I had the interview for this job, is why should I work at Waikato? Why would I be coming to work and promote this university? And at the end of the day, it was about that student experience for me, about being able to authentically and honestly promote a university that I believe in. So we are excellent and rank so well in a large number of areas. We're number 72 in the world for research citations. So our academics are so strong in the area of making sure if you're doing a postgraduate subject that you are getting cited and being strong researchers before you graduate. One thing though that we do really well is ensure our graduates are ready for employment. So employability is so important to us. Majority of our programs, whether undergraduate or postgraduate, you'll be having work experience in authentic New Zealand companies. And a lot of our graduates do go on to work in the employers that they were having an internship in. We're also the only university in New Zealand that has a state-of-the-art careers program. It's called Simplicity. So we're the only university to have this in New Zealand, and it gives you access
to exactly that, because I wanted to know that. that is quite unique. So tell us about it, please.
Yeah, of course. So this platform is like a job shop, but it also allows you to book sessions with our careers advisors, have mentoring and international interviews with employers, but also networking with our alumni. It's just a fully integrated program, and it's giving you sight into employability and options for jobs once you graduate that other university students aren't getting insight to.
Is that across the board for all courses, for all master's courses, or is that
programs? Yep. All Waikato students will get access to this. So when you start with us, all of our students will have sessions with the careers support team. And again, we have sessions helping you develop your LinkedIn profile, making sure that you're applying for jobs. So we do focus on employability and that student support. So whether that be your mental wellness, particularly during COVID-19, we've had a campaign calling all of our students who are here on campus and offshore. So if you're one of our students, we're making sure that you're well supported in online study, because it's been a really fast transition for everyone. And we've had an amazing success rate that our students are low risk, are still engaging, you're still having daily lectures, one-to-one meetings with your tutors, and lots of great support, and just a fantastic place to study.
That's fantastic. So what is this portal called? What's the name of this
it's called Simplicity. So again, you could possibly Google it, but it's something that no other university in New Zealand has. So
well, I think that's just so unique, because I mean, Laura, just to let you know, there's a large number of people that will be joining us that are based in New Zealand, and so a lot of those would be either looking at upskilling themselves, or they may be looking at getting into education, or people from overseas that may have overseas experience and they're really employable. So something like this to actually help them get into the workforce is exactly what they need, because these people may have the skills, they've got the knowledge, but they just don't have the polishing yet, like I call it. They just need that polish, they need that touch. Fantastic. Just while we're on this, Laura, before I move into the questions, because I can see them building up. So there are lots of courses that the university delivers that have got internship components in them. And I know that that's particularly attractive for people that are coming, getting into the courses that have got prior work experience, because these people are really employable and they just need a foot in the door. One question that I do get asked quite often is, does the university help find those internships and find those employers, or is it something that the students have to do themselves?
Oh, that's a great question. And our short answer is yes, of course, we will help you. We will guarantee, in fact, to find you your employment internship location. There are only a couple of programs where we don't, and that is actually embedded in your program, that part of that search is part of your own research. So for majority of our programs, masters and undergraduate, you'll be assigned a case manager. You'll have someone who works in the again, careers team or the work integrated learning team, and they will help you and assign you to your work placement. Again, the university takes into consideration your background and your interest, trying to place you with an employer or employers. You'll maybe get a couple of different employers during your degree or during your study. So making sure it's in the areas that you're interested. So for example, if you're doing mechanical engineering, we wouldn't put you necessarily with a chemical engineering plant or a employer. So yeah.
That's great. Look, I'm expecting a lot of questions to come today. And I think we will try and rush through as many as we can. And I'm just letting people know that are joining us now that if you have questions that are not related to courses at the University of Waikato and they are immigration related, because I understand that the field right now is all immigration. There's so many pressing questions. I'm not going to be picking those up in the live session, but I do have our team here. So we will be addressing those questions individually with you. But for those of you that are listening, this is your really unique opportunity to be able to ask the questions that you want to ask about the courses, about the university, because you don't get this chance very often. So I've collected some questions. So we've had people that have been emailing us when we've been promoting the event. So we'll get onto those live questions in a bit. But the number one question that I've got, Laura, here for you, and that's from a lot of people that are based onshore. So, you may have people that came here to do the grad dips in business after doing a BTech from India, or they're looking at getting into a master's, or they're just looking at upskilling. are there any scholarships or bursaries available for students? And if yes, then what are the requirements? If no, well, then we'll move on to the next question.
Yes, of course. We definitely have scholarships. So we do, in fact, have a couple. Our main scholarship is called the International Excellence Scholarship. Now, this is for up to $10,000 off your fees. Now, that applies to the first year of your program. So if you were doing a master's, it applies to your master's or your PG dip, but it would only apply to the first year of your undergrad, for example. If you're an undergrad student, we also have a high achievement bursary. So if you do well in your first year, getting a B+ average or above, you'll automatically get money off the next year. But our International Excellence Scholarship is eligible for, and all students are eligible to apply for that. You do have to apply for it, and it is based on the grades of your previous year of study, whether you've been at high school, a polytech, another university, or even been in work for a while. We'll just look at the... Sorry?
So what are you looking at roughly as a percentage? So if someone's coming from overseas or returning student, they may have studied from a poly in New Zealand and they're coming to do a master's. What are you looking at as a percentage, as a ballpark?
Yeah, so percentage-wise, we normally look for around B+ and above, so that kind of mid to late 70s mark. Any, again, as an average, so over your final year. Now, I appreciate not everyone does achieve these scores. And we do, like I mentioned at the very beginning, have a Tauranga campus. Now, this is a purpose-built, brand new campus that started and opened last year in 2019. So we are really wanting to attract and get more international students studying there. Last year, we had around 19. This year, we have 46. So it's slowly growing. But if you want a quintessential New Zealand experience and to study alongside New Zealand, Māori and Pacific students and study in a beautiful city, New Zealand's rapidly fastest growing city, I think. Yeah, Tauranga is a beautiful place. And but so why...
Sorry.
Yeah. No, why I mention that, though, is we have an automatic $10,000 bursary for any students who study a program there. So that's automatic. It's not based on your fees, but it's for people who choose to study in Tauranga. Fantastic. Please bear in mind, not all our programs are taught there, but yeah.
For those of you that are listening, if you are looking at studying outside of Auckland, I always advise clients that if you are looking outside Auckland for your education, you will get a minimum of 2 years open work visa. But also, if you spend all of this time in studying outside of Auckland, then the chances are that you've built your networks out in that city that you spend so much time, and that you most likely will obtain a skilled offer in that surrounding. And that obviously, if you get a skilled offer outside of Auckland, that gives you 30 extra points. So there's a lot of incentives in looking at just moving out of Auckland, looking at, Tauranga and Hamilton campuses for your courses. That's brilliant. So the other one that I have, Laura, is that if we have onshore people that are within New Zealand looking at coming back to education, and if they're looking at, say, 1 year MBM course, for example, Masters of Business Management, can they actually pay their fees in half? Because I know immigration will grant them the visa for the duration that they've paid. But does the university allow for that 1 year tuition fee to be paid in half?
We, of course, are getting asked so many questions about this, just with the nature of COVID-19 and us, like I mentioned before, moving to online studies. At this stage, it is something that we're still to finalise with our CFO, but we're very hopeful that we're advocating for students to be able to pay kind of in instalments in that way, just to make it slightly easier for you and under the uncertainties. So I don't have all the answers for everything at the moment, but please know, one thing I should also mention, the university is also working on new bursaries for students who are going to study, perhaps start studying online and then transition to studying in person at one of our campuses. So we'll be announcing and launching those details in the next couple of weeks. Now that today we've had our level 2 announcement, yes, or moving to level 2, yay, that will get things moving for us. We're also a bit like Arunima with AIMS Global, working very closely with INZ to try and advocate for students, for what universities and what will work best. So short answer is yes, we're very hopeful, and we'll announce when you're applying, we'll help you with how that and what that looks like.
And when we find out, we might even bring Laura back. Seeing the number of questions we're building up, it's unlikely that we'll get through all of these.
Yeah, that's exciting.
We'll definitely bring Laura back for a follow-up session when we have more news of this. So I'm just going to get into these questions. Sarvesh, thank you very much for your compliments. I'm just reading these now. So I've got this, I think Vishnu's asking a really important question. I think you and I discussed this offline. So if someone's looking, I understand there's a few master's courses that you've got in business. You've got the MBM, which is a Master's of Business Management, the MBA, Masters of Business Administration, and the M Management, which is Masters of Management. So if someone is looking at coming into the course and they don't have a management background, so say someone's done a Bachelor's of IT, worked for a few years, and they want to get into a Masters of Management, what would you suggest? And can you please explain me what the difference in these 3 degrees is? Because I don't know it for sure.
Oh, yes, of course. And I get asked this a lot as well. So my job is often explaining. Now, for those of you who don't know, we have the Waikato Management School, WMS for short. Now, this is a Triple Crown accredited business school. So we're one of only, I believe, 40 in the world. We have the MBM, the Master of Business Management. And now this is my go-to program for students, just like Arunima's explained. If you are or you have that work experience, or even you're from a degree not in the area of business, but want to get some leadership, management, general business, and overarching degree that's going to help you in a number of different areas, the MBM is for you. It covers all elements of business and management, including marketing, finance, economics, international business, law, and it has a 1-month internship within it. So again, it's organised. You'll go and work in a New Zealand company. It's by far one of our star programs because it attracts such a range of students. And that's also very cool for you as a student because you get to meet people from all around the globe, as well as high executives here in New Zealand who just haven't either had that management experience on paper, but or are looking to upskill in whatever area that they're working in. So we do also, though, if you are from a business background, we have some dedicated specific master's programs for you. So we have the Masters of Management. Now, this is not so much a general program, but a very specific program. You're focusing on either supply chain management or marketing. So if you're from either of those backgrounds, but really want to specialize in those 2 areas, we looked at the skills shortage in the market, and marketing and supply chain, particularly in today's climate, are 2 areas where we need more graduates. So those programs.
Or is it just conventional marketing, or is this research-based, or is this a taught masters? The master's.
It's both. So you will have research. You will have a research element in it. So again, our master's degrees are very flexible in the sense that there are some programs like the MBM, which is prescribed, but our other programs, you can choose how much research you're wanting to do. If you did want to go on and pursue a PhD, for example, you would write a thesis as opposed to just a research project. So, but you would have papers specifically in the area of either supply chain or marketing.
Okay, that sort of gives a lot of back. And the MBA then that's 1.5 years, and the MBM is a 1-year program.
That's correct. Now, I should talk about our MBM very briefly. MBA, because our MBA just this year is being opened up to internationals for the first time. Now, why that is because up until now, the MBA has only been taught part-time. Now, Arunima and Ames Garrett will be able to vouch for me here. If you're an international student studying part-time, it's not an easy option in terms of visas. So now that we've made it full-time, it's open, of course, to international students. Now, our MBA is slightly different to other MBAs in the sense that, yes, it is 1.5 years. You, again, are having that integrated work placement, but we also take you on a study tour, an international study tour. So this is included in the price, where you will go on essentially an internship or work experience abroad with the rest of your class. Last year and the year before, they've been to Chile, the UK, all through the amazing lecturers' connections. They will take you to another country to work on a project and then come back to New Zealand and work with a New Zealand company around what you've learned. So our MBA is very special.
Will not be happening in the near future though, but well,
fingers crossed. It's 1.5 years, so hopefully towards the end of the program you may still get that trip.
So just to answer your question, I think from what Laura's just enlightened us with, the MBM seems to be the perfect option for you. I will connect with you after this. Laura, now we're just moving just very slightly. There's someone asking, Gurjeet's asking us about trades courses. I understand that the university does not deliver trades courses, right?
Not particularly, no. We do have those work experience components, but generally our programs are quite professional courses.
Cool.
Yes.
We'll move along. So now we're getting on to the teaching courses. I know Bhavna's asking me, and I've read her question. She's got a lot of immigration questions that she's asking within that question. So my team will address
you.
we'll address the immigration questions, but I think that brings me to talk about the teaching courses, because I know that the university's got some fantastic teaching courses in the primary, ECE, and the secondary space. And for those of you that don't know, teachers of all sorts are in the regional skill shortage list, and these courses do lead teachers to registration. So Laura, do you just want to please take us through the grad dips and any other courses that you think that I may not have covered?
Yeah, of course. So I must again say in the education and teaching area, our grad diploma, our graduate diploma in teaching is by far the most popular. Now, it is a graduate diploma, but it is a 1-year intensive course, and students will specialise in either early childhood, primary or secondary. So to come onto these programs, again, you don't have to be from a teaching or education background, but you do obviously have to have a passion in working with people, highlight why you want to be a teacher, for example. If you did want to go into secondary teaching, you do need to come from a background where you could teach that subject. For example, if you wanted to teach history and geography, you need to perhaps be from an arts or a history background. They are 1 year, like I say, and you are having placement in schools throughout the Bay of Plenty, Waikato, throughout our regions, right from trimester 1. So you'll slowly increase the number of hours that you're working in schools. You'll be working alongside fantastic lecturers, but also fantastic support teachers. Now, I did teaching at university, so I know it's not easy, but it's also, again, such a rewarding degree. And the work opportunities, I think last year, 99% of our students from the grad dip were employed before they had graduated. So there's that shortage there. And for the few that didn't get a job, it was for personal reasons, change of personal circumstance, moving into a different field, for example. If you are from a teaching background, though, and you wanted to carry on and do some master's level study, more research, we do have, well, actually many masters, but we have a master's of teaching and learning, which might be of interest to you as well. Just, again, has practical and builds on your research and your background in teaching.
I think for some people where they have a family and they've got a partner and they've got kids, the master's may work as a better solution. So if you've got a bachelor's of education, you're a teacher in your home country, you might want to come in for a master's. The partners could get an open work visa. Your kids could still go to school as domestic kids. And then you can pursue your opportunities to actually get registered. And I think just touching back on what you, Laura, the point that you made about the intent, I think those of you that are listening to us, and I think that's something that we very particularly work with our clients around the intent. So if you are looking at changing your field, I mean, I could have done something else, but now I want to be a teacher. Well, what is it? Why do you want to be a teacher? And what research have you done? And that's something that we obviously help our clients quite considerably with. That is the representation that we will do to immigration, plus also the provider. That intent, why do you want to do the course? Because nobody really wants to set you up to get into a course that you're not going to pass. So just making sure that you understand what the course has is something that we will help you with. There's obviously a lot of questions building up, so I'm going to try and well, I told you, you're going to be popular today.
I think I can also see my colleague. Is this Ashish Suri?
This hi Ashish, nice to see you helping us. He's helping fielding us, which is fantastic.
Ashish, for anyone who doesn't know, he's part of my team in the international office. He is based out in India, but he's an expert on our program. So these responses he's providing are fully accurate and not just a random member of the public.
Not a random person. This was the legit Ashish Suri answering those questions. So thank you for Ashish. So we've got another question here. So if someone is from the HR background, or maybe they've got a background in industrial psychology, what sort of qualifications would you suggest in HR? I do know that we've got students studying with you in HR. And I know that we applied for a master's, but she was given the option of getting into PG. So if you can just take us through that HR program, there seems to be some interest.
So not to add any confusion to the matter, but we have a Master of Management, the one that I mentioned just earlier, where you specialise in either marketing or supply chain management. But we also have a Master of Management Studies. Now, that's the MMS. So the MMS means you can, again, specialise in an area that you've perhaps studied in previously. So if that be HR, then that would be a totally appropriate degree for you to be studying. Again, will be from that background, so you can build on your research if you so wish, or you can do more taught papers and do some research. So MMS, short answer.
Fantastic. So I've got this question from Karan Saini. It says, will the session for LLM for the 6th of July 2020 start on time, or will it be postponed to September 2020?
Oh, thank you. Good question. Now, we are intending and hoping that all of our, particularly with today's announcements, that our July start programs will all go ahead as normal. What we are just finalising at the moment with our faculties and with our senior management team is how they will look. So we want students, if you're either here or abroad, we want you to be able to start your studies and finish how you wish to finish. So if you start online and want to finish online, great. We want you to be able to do that. But LLM and a few other of our more practical degrees, teaching and actually all the ones I've mentioned, we will want you and hope that you can come and finalise and finish those face-to-face. So the short answer is yes, but we're finalising all that detail at the moment, and we will send that through to AIMS to share with you. And again, you can check the university website for updates.
Yeah, Karan, we will correspond with you once we know further updates from the university. I've got Sai here. Hi, Sai. Hope you're well. We've got a few of our clients joining us today, which is really good to see. So he says, I've got 2 inquiries regarding to the course in relation to long-term skill shortage list. After I join and complete the Masters in Business and Management, and after completion, while searching for jobs, I see we have a code for business analyst, but the course is... Okay, well, that's a very much an immigration question. Sai, I am going to advise you in writing on that question because obviously this is, I don't want to keep Laura waiting here. Her time's very precious. So I can actually advise you on that question. We'll move on to the next one, which is from Gurpreet Saini. It says, now it's around job placements. And I have had this conversation with lots of people from an immigration perspective that, the job placement is not just a direct outcome of the course, but it's actually an outcome of you as an individual. What is your knowledge? Where do you sit? How do you perform in the interview? But this question is particularly asking is there a job outcome difference between the MBA and the MBM, or is that something you've seen from the employment perspectives or from stats that you maintain at the university?
Oh, that's amazing. Well, like I mentioned before, the MBA has only just opened up to international, so I can't really comment around the employability of that specifically for international students. But I would say our domestic students that have been studying on that have been executives of companies here in New Zealand. Now, what I didn't mention about the MBA, and I should have as well, is you don't have to necessarily be from a degree background. If you've been working in a family business, in a company for 10, 15, 20 years, and I've met students like this in Malaysia, Sri Lanka, countries I've been to, the MBA now is something that I would advocate for them. The difference, though, the MBM is very... broad, and you can go into areas of work that you're interested in. I have seen graduates working in engineering, for in immigration type roles, in local government, as well as one of my recent students was working in a management or marketing role for a big, large shoe company here in New Zealand. So you can make that degree what you want it to be, and the career support there is there to help you get what you're aspiring for.
Absolutely. I'm just going to ask one more question about the ECE bit, and then I'll move on to these other questions that I've collected, because I can see there's a lot of questions around the same. There's a lot of interest in the ECE space, as we obviously can understand. With ECE, so the question here is, someone who's done a master's, say, from India, and plus probably has got a bachelor's of education, is looking at coming to New Zealand. What what would you suggest? Would they meet the requirements for the graduate diploma in EC? Obviously, you've got the IELTS 7 in each, which is a requirement, plus I believe the NZ2A, because that's a requirement of the New Zealand Teachers Council. Or would you suggest them to opt for a master's, and would that lead to a registration?
That's a very good question. And again, it will depend on your individual circumstance and what you're wanting to achieve. The grad dip is the easy option. And if anything, from what you've just highlighted, this person probably would be too qualified to do that. So a master's would be suitable, but it would be ensuring that you're doing the right master's with us that would lead you to registration if you wish to teach in New Zealand. So Master of Teaching and Learning would be your choice there. We do also teach a Master of Leadership, Educational Leadership. So this is if you're wanting to kind of become a principal and work in a senior leadership role. Now, with your perhaps recognition of your prior learning of your teaching in whatever country you are in, it may be that you could go through the registration process in New Zealand and then do this further master's study. So I'm not a specialist by any means in terms of New Zealand registration. The grad dip is probably the easiest route, but I appreciate because of the level that it might not meet everyone's circumstance. So Master of Teaching.
Yeah, and I'll just add that as we actually we certain QA process. So what I can tell you for a fact is that the B.Ed that you've probably done from India is not specific to the ECE sector, and the ECE education in New Zealand is actually quite different. So for a lot of those clients, I will actually encourage sometimes looking at your individual scenario to actually go in for the grad dip, because that actually does align you. It's like a comprehensive, condensed one-year course that actually leads you towards a registration. So, building that case on why you want to study the course, how you're going to be registered, is going to be through the grad dip, because your bachelor's is actually it is education, but the content is quite different. So that's where we kind of work with you. For some people, like Laura said, the master's would be the right way because they may be really qualified, may have the experience. Anyways, now we're going to jump into the course that I personally absolutely find fantastic. I've gone through the course contents and I only wish that I had the opportunity to do the course. It's the course in digital business. And as we know, through COVID-19 and the world becoming a huge online space, and us sort of not, we've been on the computer all day, everything's digitally connected. The demand for digital business and digital marketers has been more now than ever. And I know that the university offers some really unique courses in that space. Laura, can you please just talk to us about those courses?
Yeah, so, for starters, our Master of Digital Business is the one that you've just mentioned, the MDigi Buzz, as we call it. It is 180-point, 1-year Masters. And if you do look on our website at the moment, you'll see that we start this program usually in February and July. One thing I would say as a really good perk of COVID-19 is that we're also looking at our intake. So we have this year moved to trimesters. So we start in February, July, and November, except for anything. Yeah, so we're hoping to run our programs more in November this year. One thing I should have said earlier about education, and I think I saw someone's questions, is education programs do start in January. So they're just a little bit earlier than all the rest of students, and that aligns with New Zealand schools' calendars.
The master programs, right? So that'll be all the grad dip programs?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay.
The Master of Digital Business, you're going to be specializing in e-marketing, digital marketing, getting that advertising experience. Again, you will have some set papers and then you'll be able to choose your particular interest. It might be that you're into more advertising and working with large-scale companies. You might want to work in a small startup, for example. And again, in-house in the university, we have a strong marketing team who often have students come and intern and work with them. I've just myself been working on a postgraduate advertising campaign. So hopefully some of you, if you are based in New Zealand, you'll start to see pop-ups of us on Google Mail and Facebook and Instagram saying, come and study with us in July. So we will, of course, be announcing some bursaries around July start as well. So there will be some slight differences in fees for July. I just don't have the exact numbers with me yet. So
And those of you that are joining us now and they are based in New Zealand, I can confirm to you that immigration, as you know, has got different priorities of applications. Student visas are a priority number 2, and immigration is processing them right now. So those students that are looking at studying and joining the July intake, now would be the time for you to start talking to us and enrolling and getting the visa organized, because immigration is quite conscious that they do want to have an intake for July for those students that are within New Zealand borders. That's great. So before I've got a question, and I'm going to ask my question first. So I see some master's courses that are 1 year at 120 credits, and then I see some other master's courses that are year at 180 credits. What does that mean? So how is it different? Are they studying more or less, or because they're all 1 year?
Yeah, of course. So essentially our papers are 30 points. So you'll study one subject and it's 30 points. Why there's that slight difference there is around that, how I've been talking about flexibility, it's around that research element. So 120 is usually quite set, standard. These are the subjects you study. These are the papers you study. If it's 120, we even go up even slightly higher, 180, sorry, and higher. These will have more of an element of research, and it might be that you choose a 30, 60 or 120 point element of research. So it all becomes very clear as mud when you start looking through the program options on our website, and you can start to see we have some degrees where you have 3 options of how you wish to complete the degree. You might want to, if it was me, for example, I'm not a researcher. I'd want to be studying the papers where I get to be out with employers and I get to be working in teams. So yeah, it's really at your discretion. So that's the difference between the points. You will have a little bit more work, but it will just look slightly different if you're doing 180 points.
That's great. And I think the next cohort of people that are possibly looking at studying, so there's sort of 2 cohorts. So imagine you've got a student that's done a bachelor's of, say, civil engineering or mechanical engineering or something, or an engineering degree from India, decided to come to New Zealand for a grad dip in business, because that's quite a popular pathway, then realize that that's not really getting them anywhere. And now they're looking at, and you can see from the questions that people are really aware about the skill shortages and trying to align the courses with the demands, in New Zealand, which I think is fantastic. So, for that person that's now looking at going back into an engineering degree, can you talk about the engineering programs that, we've got here? And if someone's done a BTech from India and they're looking at, and they've maybe done a graduate diploma in business, can they get into the master's in engineering, or do they have to go for the PG dip first? Where does the master's threshold cut off? So if you can just talk about the engineering course, please.
Great question. I would always encourage you to aim high and apply for the master's. Now, the lovely thing about our university is if our admissions team will look at your qualifications and decide you aren't quite ready for the master's yet, they will give you what's called a pathway offer, where they say you do the grad dip or the PG dip for the first 6 months to progress into the master's. Now, the nice thing about that too is if you in those first 6 months decide Waikato's not for you, New Zealand's not for you, or I've got a job, you're still going to leave with a qualification. You've not started a master's and leaving with nothing. So aim for the master's, and the master's I would suggest is called our Masters of Engineering Practice. Now, this is for people who are from an engineering background and are wanting to get further skills in engineering, but also in the management and leadership side of things. So you'll study in our engineering school and our management school, doing a combination of papers that complement one another. So you're getting experience, again, working in New Zealand companies and at leadership, kind of higher management level type projects.
Okay. And so this course is a year long, or is it a year and a half?
So this is a year to a year and a half, depending on, again, your background. So it'll be a year and a half if you maybe haven't quite met the master's entry, and you'd do that PG dip first.
Okay. All right. I know there was a question previously around health sciences. Before I jump onto that question, I just want to understand about cross credits. So there may be some fields where there is an option for recognized prior learning or cross credits, whereas there's some other fields that there's no option for that. I know that we're running out of time and we are not going to get through these questions, but guys that are listening, we are going to respond to every single comment and question you've got post this event, and I will individually come back. Can you please tell us about the cross-credit process and what courses are completely outside this area?
Yeah, of course. So cross-crediting or recognition of prior learning, credit application, we refer to it all in lots of different ways. But essentially, if you've already done some study in a particular area and you want to receive credit for that, so you don't have to repeat what you've already done in your home country, you first of all do need to apply for a program with us. And as a part of that application process, you can tick a box saying you want to be considered for credit. So it is just a part of the application process. You have to highlight the subject areas that you want to receive credit for. Now, you mentioned about which programs this applies to or not. As far as I'm aware, I haven't had a lot of experience in RPL, but most programs, majority of programs, you can apply for that. There is the box on the application, and you just need to provide the documentation of what you've previously studied.
Brilliant. Okay. Laura, we will definitely have to do a return session with you. You are by far.
I'm so thrilled.
Look at it. We can't get through all these questions at all. Does the university offer any PhD programs? Is someone asking,
yes.
Anurag asking?
Yes, most definitely. And if you didn't know, New Zealand universities, we charge international students domestic fees, so they are very popular. The best thing I can say about our PhD application process, work with AIMS, look at our website and follow the application process step by step. It's slightly different to a master's or undergrad program. We don't ask for a research proposal, we ask for a letter of research intent, so slightly different. So follow our step by step. Yeah.
So Anurag, I will reach out to you individually on this. Now, I think the only course that I haven't, there was a question about the health science courses.
Okay.
Are there any health science courses that you just want to quickly talk about, and then computing, and then I think we'll have to call it a wrap. We're 2 minutes over anyways, but we don't get you very often, so we will hold on to you for a couple of more minutes.
Yeah. So in the health science space, I must say we are developing a lot of programs in this space. We at undergraduate level have really specialised in the Bachelor of Health, Sport and Human Performance. And we as a university are also hoping to, we are teaching a Bachelor of Health, but we hope to teach nursing and really blue sky thinking medicine in the years to come. So not straight away, but if there's a particular area of health that you are interested in, I would say speak to the AIMS team, because our health programs are very niche. We have some programs like social work, counselling, different holistic types of views of health, not so much the traditional health programs like medicine or physio, for example, at the moment. So that's my short answer to that one. I'm sorry it's not specific.
No, that's all good. I'm rushing you through this anyway, so I'm sorry to have to do that. I just said you're so popular.
No, it's great. And I'm sorry, I could talk all night. So
we would have you all night, but what we do, isn't it? We have to make a special and end this so people can come back later on. But just quickly about the computing programs, I know that's quite a popular industry in New Zealand, super popular, and I know that the university has some really niche master's courses in that area. If you just want to quickly touch on that.
Yeah, so the main masters that I always talk about is the Master of Information Technology. If you want an Auckland University degree and a Waikato degree, come and study Master in Infotech, we call it, with us. Again, very applied program, very specialised. You don't have to be from a computer science background. If you're not from a computer science background, you just do, like I said earlier, a grad dip or a PG dip, whatever's recommended for you first, and then you enter into the master's program. At undergrad,
this is a joint degree with the University of Auckland and Waikato. It's a joint.
It is. Yep. So the exact same degree is taught in Auckland, but of course, by studying in Auckland, Arunima and her team can talk to you about the benefits of studying outside of Auckland. So come and study with us, have cheaper living costs in the Waikato or the Bay of Plenty, and you'll get 2 degrees either way upon successful completion.
That's brilliant. And guys, absolutely, I think the reason why we wanted to bring University of Waikato is because it brings a lot of benefits for studying outside of Auckland, like Laura's just said. Auckland's super expensive. You get extra points for skill jobs that you find outside of Auckland. And if you study outside of Auckland, you get a minimum of 2 years open work visa. And Tauranga is, the upcoming city in New Zealand. Hamilton's just about under an hour away from Auckland. So if you've got friends and relatives here, you definitely don't want to be in Auckland. You want to be in Hamilton. Look, and I think with that, Laura, we will have to kind of, go back to these questions individually. But I really hope that this, you've kind of enjoyed these questions that we fired at you. You've done really, really well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I'm so thrilled to speak to you all.
And Ashish, thank you very much. I see you absolutely fielding all the questions and trying to respond to all of them. And I've got my team here as well. So guys, we are going to respond to those questions, but thank you for tuning in. This video is going to be available on our Facebook page. So if you just want to go back and listen to it again, it's there. But we are going to come back to your questions. But again, Laura, thank you so very much.
Thanks, Ames. It's great working with you.
Yeah, I'll bring you back. Have a good night.
See you again. Bye,
See you
everyone.
later. Bye.